mode.
All right. Good morning, everybody. This is Whitney over at Health Trust Software, and hopefully all of you can hear me. If you're having any trouble with the audio or anything, make sure to send me a message so that we can make sure that you guys can hear me okay. This morning we are actually going to talk about authorizations, how to add them in the system, and also how to track them once you've added them into the system. Now, all of our authorizations are actually found under our Auth tab. The first one that we're going to look at is actually going to be our Auth tab, and that takes you to your main authorizations menu once you select that option. Now here in this menu, this will show you a list of all of the authorizations that you've already added into the system. You have your alphabet across the top of the page, so you can search for any particular patient that you were looking for. Or you can choose the All option to pull up all of your patients. If you need to use an advanced search, you have one located in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. You can scroll through these filter options and then click Search to find that patient that you're looking for. If you need to edit an existing authorization that's in the system, let's say maybe you started to add it in and then you need to go back and actually finish it, you can just select the one that you want and the system will take you into an Edit Authorization page. Make any changes that you need to in this top area and then click Submit to save. Or if you needed to actually edit the authorized items, and this is a confirmed authorization, use the magnifying glass located next to each authorized item to go in and edit that information. If you need to actually add in a new authorization, when you're on the main Auth menu, you do have an Add option in the upper right-hand corner. You may have also noticed that as you hovered your mouse over this Auth tab, you actually have an Add Auth option that appears to the right-hand side. Clicking on either of those is going to take you into this Add Authorization page. Using this patient box here, start typing in your patient's name, and the system will try and match it up with the patient that you're looking for. Or you can use the magnifying glass to the right-hand side to actually search through a list of all of your patients. Once you've found the one that you want, click on their name, and the system will automatically pull in the payers to this payer field. We'll also tell you whether or not it's a primary, secondary, or what that payer is. You can check the bubble located next to each payer to actually select that payer. Or you have an other option to the right-hand side to select a different payer from a drop-down box. Your next field that you see is going to be the PAN and CERT number field. And what this is just simply a place for you to enter in that authorization number. So type in that authorization number in that field. And then the next two fields, you can actually select the from and through dates of that particular authorization. I'm just clicking on the magnifying glass to actually pull up my calendar here and select it from the list. Your next field that you have is a pre-auth date. Again, it's a simple calendar field used to allow you to track a pre-authorization date. We also have a date issued field which again is a calendar field just like the other 3 boxes that we've looked at, that allows you to choose the date that it was actually issued. You have a drop-down box provided here to select the actual type of authorization. If you guys need more information on those different types or on the different date fields that we provide you with on this screen, we will be posting some additional training materials and some training aids that'll help you guys remember what those different types are or what needs to go in the different date fields or what we intended for you to document in the different fields on this page. So be looking for that in the alert that we post this week after this webinar. You can use the drop-down box to select the different statuses. Now, if this is an active authorization and you need to actually add in the services and the types of visits that were authorized, make sure that you select Confirmed for the status of this authorization. Out to the right-hand side, you'll see that it says once confirmed that authorized services may be added to this authorization. Once I've entered in all of this data, I'm going to click Submit at the top of my screen to save that information or to save that authorization. And my page now refreshed, and I see that it says Edit Authorization, so I know that it saved it because it no longer says Add. Now what it also did when it refreshed that screen is down towards the bottom you have an Authorized Items section. This allows you to add in all of the different items that may have been included on that authorization, maybe different disciplines that that insurance or that payer is authorizing for your patient. To add in those different types of service or different disciplines that were authorized, click on the Add option, and the system will open up an Add Authorization Item window. Now, if more than one discipline or more than one item are listed on this authorization, sometimes you may also see those associated with a line number. This just allows you to track the different line numbers that those particular disciplines or services showed up on that actual authorization. Your from and through dates actually default to those effective from and through dates that you had added in on the first page. And then you have a category and service box to actually select what was authorized. Now there's 2 different ways that you can actually use this field. The category drop-down box is going to be used so that you can track the specific discipline or category of visits that are being authorized. This is a mandatory field regardless of whether or not you use this service option underneath there. You always have to select a category. Now we do also give you the service option so that if they not only authorized you for physical therapy visits, but they actually are limiting you to a specific type of physical therapy visit, maybe they're only authorizing you to do one eval, and then you need to get maybe another authorization to continue services, or maybe they're just simply authorizing you for routine visits. You can use that service box to select the actual type of visit that they authorized. Enter in the amount and frequency using these drop-down boxes and text boxes provided. I'm going to actually select 2 visits per week. Now the duration and interval is just telling the system how long this amount or frequency is going to be taking place. It could be 60 days if you have a 60-day episode. Maybe you have actually a 6-month episode or cert period for your patient. Maybe it's just for that entire auth period. You can select one auth period. And then just below that option, you have your auth maximum. Now let's say your payer actually authorized you for maybe a specific number of visits per week, but they also put an auth maximum of maybe a specific number of units. So you can have maybe 2 visits a week, but at the end of this authorization period, maybe they need to add up to a specific number of units. Units can be calculated based on how you have those services set up. So most of the time I think units are calculated by most of our agencies in our system as maybe 15-minute increments, but you can actually set those up at the service level. You can have it calculated as an hour or also in visits. I'm just going to leave that option actually blank for this training. So once I've entered in all of this data, I'm going to click Submit at the very top of my screen to save that information. And as you can see, it added that authorized item down here at the very bottom. If I needed to add in another discipline, just click on your Add option, and that'll open up your Add Authorization Item page again. Once you're finished, you don't need to click the Submit button at the top of your Edit Authorization page to save those authorized items. As you're adding in each authorized item and clicking Submit, the system actually will add that to that authorization for you. To edit that authorized item, click on the magnifying glass. That'll just pull up the Edit Authorization Item page. Or you also have a red X to the right-hand side that you can use to delete that item. Now the system will always prompt you before it deletes that item out of the system permanently. So make sure that your system or your computer is set up to allow pop-ups from our website. I'm just going to click Cancel or close that window. And then you can go back to your main authorization page, add in any additional authorizations, or you can go to any other section of the system that you may need to. Now, as you're adding in these authorized items, the system actually tracks that information for you in a couple of different places that you guys can view. The first one that we're going to look at is going to be our episode schedule. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can also access your episode schedule for a particular patient. You can go to the Schedule tab at the top of the screen and choose Episode Schedule. Or if you're inside the patient menu, you can click on that Episode tab and there should be an underlined word Schedule that's right next to each episode that you can use to access or view this episode schedule. We're going to go through the actual Schedule tab. Now once I click on Episode Schedule, that takes me to a Schedule Filter page that allows me to just select my patient and also the episode that I'm looking for. Let me scroll through here and see if I can actually find an episode that may have some authorizations in the system. And I'm going to click Submit once I've found my patient. And of course I selected one that didn't actually have anything on the schedule. Let me try this again. If you need to change your patients or your episode that you're selecting, you have your filter options over to the right-hand side of each of these calendar windows. And then just click Go to refilter that calendar. Now it looks like we don't have any orange alerts, but we do have some little yellow alerts that are showing up, and you can see those next to each of these visits. Now as you hover your mouse over that particular alert, the system is notifying you whether or not you have an authorization in for that particular visit, which right now it's telling me that I don't have any authorization in for that particular charge. Or the alert may be letting you know that you don't have enough visits or hours or units to meet that authorization, or it could also be telling you that you have too many visits on the schedule. So as your schedulers are going through and they're scheduling these visits, they'll be able to see those alerts popping up as they schedule each visit so that they can make changes as necessary. Now sometimes the alert will show up at the very end of each visit, and then also on a weekly basis, so at the end of each care week, you may also be seeing orange alerts that are notifying you again of any visits or maybe number of units or hours that are over that particular authorization. So you may see some alerts also to the right-hand side here of each of your care weeks. Now we're going to look at our dashboard now to actually look at an alert that we have that allows you to track some of your authorizations. Now there are quite a few different options that you have on your dashboard. The one that we're going to look at is actually going to be the Alerts button. Once you select that Alerts button, the alert that we're going to use is going to be our Authorizations alert. You have a couple of different things that you can track here regarding your authorizations. Now these are just going to be kind of quick reports that you guys can use. You don't have to filter them. The system automatically just pulls that information to this page for you. You also have a report in the Report Center that we'll look at as well. The first one is going to be your authorization analysis. Clicking on this link is going to pull up your authorization analysis page where you can filter by different items, maybe a branch office or a location, maybe a patient that you're looking for or a specific payer. You can choose the format just like in our Report Center. I'm just going to actually run mine wide open, so I'm going to click Submit, and this is going to give me my authorization analysis. I'm going to make this screen a little bit bigger here. Now what this is telling me is not only the branch office that my patient is located in, but the patient's name, the payer that that authorization is from, the auth from and through dates, and the category. Now, if that authorization is actually authorizing them for a particular type of service, you'll also see that service listed here. And then you'll see the auth details. Now, to the right-hand side of the auth details, you'll be able to see how many visits are scheduled for that particular patient that would apply to that authorization. How many visits have already been performed, how many visits out of that authorization have been billed, and then it'll calculate the remaining number of visits that you have available basically in that authorization. As you can see here, I have negative 14 visits available to me, and out to the right-hand side of that in my comments column, it's telling me that I have 14 too many visits for my authorization. So I know I may have added too many visits when I was scheduling out that episode or scheduling out that certification period. So I need to go back in and check that information. If you need to refilter this list, scroll back up to the top and click on your Filters option. And then you can reselect those filter options and click Submit to run that again. I'm going to close my window here. Now the next alert that we see on our dashboard is going to actually be our expiring authorizations within the next 45 days. Now what this is going to do is basically show you any authorizations that you have added into the system within the next, that are basically expiring within the next 45 days. So when you guys are adding in those particular items, and you're actually adding in all of those authorized items and the dates and things like that, the system is keeping track of all of that information in that alert so that you guys can just log into the system and actually see all of that listed here. Okay, so you'll be able to see the payer, the category, the date that it actually expires, and the number of days until. Now these authorizations are always going to show up on this alert. So this is something, if you are actively using our authorization system or center or module in the system, you will want to come to this dashboard often and hide these authorizations as they expire, because they will not automatically roll off of this list. You can click on the red X for ones that maybe are past. This one is negative 975 days, so it's 975 days past when it had expired. I probably don't need to see that one anymore, so I can click on my red X, and that's going to just remove that authorization from this list on your dashboard. It doesn't actually remove it out of the system. It doesn't change the status of that authorization. It just simply updates this dashboard. Using your magnifying glass, you can actually open up that Edit Authorization page and make any changes to it that you may need to make. If you wanted to just pull this up to review that authorization, that's an option as well. Just click on the red X to close that screen when you're finished. Now you also have a report to be able to track your expiring authorizations. So using our Report tab and then Report Center, you can select the type of report. I like to leave mine listed as all reports so I have access to everything, or so I can see everything that I have access to. And then for my report drop-down box, I'm actually going to choose Authorizations. Now this basically gives you the same information that we saw on our dashboard. The only difference is as you scroll down, you have different options and capabilities to be able to track those date ranges that you want to pull. Okay, so you can filter by different patients or different payers that you're looking for. Maybe you only want to see your Blue Cross Blue Shield authorizations that are expiring within the next 30 days or 45 days. You can use these options here. Now you also, as you scroll through these different filter options, have just a plain payer box. So that can be used if you're just using, maybe you want to run this report for all of your Blue Cross Blue Shield authorizations, but you don't actually care whether they're listed as the primary or secondary payer for that particular patient. If that's the case, make sure that you use this generic payer box at the bottom instead of using the primary or secondary payer box at the top. If you list Blue Cross Blue Shield here in this first box, this is only going to pull authorizations for patients that have the Blue Cross Blue Shield payer listed in that primary payer field. Scrolling down to my very bottom of this page, you can choose different formatting options. I'm going to just run mine wide open so that we can see it on the screen. And as you can see, it gives us similar information to what we saw on our dashboard. So we can see the payer, that authorization. We can see the category. It'll even go so far as to show you the HCPCS for that particular office or service. And then you'll be able to see the amount and frequency of the visits and the duration frequency. Again, this can kind of be customized however you would like based on these filter options that you use. Now, any questions that we have, if you have any questions about any particular authorizations, auths can be used and tracked in our system a little bit differently depending on the agency or type of agency that you're with. Most of the options and things that we just covered are going to be the same However, if your agency is wanting to utilize them a little bit differently, or if you have questions, specific questions regarding maybe an authorization that you have in your system, be sure to let us know or send me a message now so I can make sure that that question gets addressed with our alert that we post with our webinar video. There are also some different types of orders and things like that in the system, like TP1s and TP2s and things like that, maybe even physician's orders that we will actually talk about in other training videos and other training webinars. So if we didn't cover a specific topic, you can contact our training department and check and see when that topic may be coming up in an online webinar, or we will be posting soon, hopefully within this next month, our new upcoming webinar schedule for the webinars that will be taking place after August. I think our last webinar that we've posted to you guys is towards the end of August. So be looking for those alerts in the system, and if you have any questions or anything, definitely contact our training department and let us know. And it looks like we don't have any questions, or actually, hold on just a minute and let me pull it up. We do have one question. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so in the report center, it looks like they selected the all reports type and they do not see the authorizations report. So if you are in the report center and you have it listed as all reports and you still don't see the word authorizations in here, you actually will need to talk to your administrator. If you are the administrator, you can actually change your security group settings so that you have that report. Under administration and groups, your administrator can go in and actually select the group that you're associated with. And at the very bottom of this group access, you have a button that says click here to select reports. And what I'm guessing is if you open this up, most likely that authorizations report is not checked. So make sure that you check that off. We do have some other ones in here like authorized hours that we didn't actually look at, and authorizations too. Really these reports are going to be our 3 authorization reports that we have in the system, and it really gives you the same information that you actually are getting from your dashboard or any of the other reports in the system. You guys can kind of play around with those different reports and look in your report center, verify that you have the ones that you need. And if your administrator needs help going in and changing those, just let us know. We can walk them through that as well. And I don't see any other questions other than that. So we will go ahead and in the webinar. Again, we'll be posting this week this webinar recording, so be looking for that, and we'll also have some terminology and definitions of some important statuses and things that we looked at in the authorization menu today. And then also, if any of you were signed up for the webinar that was supposed to take place yesterday, GoToMeeting was having some problems and they were actually down. So we will be posting also an alert about that upcoming webinar. So keep an eye out for those and have a great afternoon.